Hey guys, it's Leslie and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about my most disappointing books of 2018. This is not really going to be like a rant or, whatever, spilling the tea, whatever people say these days. I had a few books that I just didn't love or they fell short for a number of different reasons. They're not bad books, except maybe one. Maybe one is actually just a bad book. But here we go. The first on my list is A Small Charred Face by Kazuki Sakuraba. This was a book I read for the biennial bibliothon, I think, back in January. And this is a translated work. It's supposed to be horror, but it really didn't read like a horror story. It's kind of like three different short stories kind of mashed together, and it just didn't really work for me. I was kind of confused. The first part of the book I liked okay, and it just got more boring and weird as it went on. Maybe I am just not the right audience for this book, or maybe the translation isn't great. There's that too, but overall, not a fan. Don't really recommend it to anybody. Sorry. The second book on the list is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. I've made a whole review about this, so if you want to hear like in-depth thoughts, I'll let you know there. But for the most part, this book is just boring and it's uncomfortable. I mean, everyone knows, or if you don't know, this is a book about a grown adult having like a sexual relationship with a 12-year-old. And it's sort of marketed and talked about as a love story, which is just weird, and it just drags on. It drags on for infinity. It doesn't go anywhere. The main character is the biggest creep ski ball ever, of course, and Lolita herself is fairly annoying, but she's also a 12-year-old, so she gets a pass for being annoying at 12. I just didn't like it. I don't get the hype. Outside of being sort of just a controversial subject, I don't get why this book is like lauded as a classic, but whatever. Not a fan, not for me. Yuck. The next book on this list is not a book because it's bad. I just found it fairly boring, and that is Lilac Girls by Martha Kelly. I read a ton of World War II era books, nonfiction, fiction, whatever. So I'm a bit of a connoisseur of that time period, that genre. And this one was just boring. It just dragged on, and it's told from like three women's perspectives in the war, and I don't know if I really cared about any of them. Maybe one of them, and I don't know, it just was boring. That's all I can say. It's just not a book that I think is great. It does get a lot of good reviews on Goodreads, and I think I understand why. It's not poorly written by any means. I would read something else by Martha Kelly, but I just didn't like this one, so that's just a personal opinion. It was fine. The next book on the list is the one that I would say is probably just a bad book, and that is Perennials by Mandy Berman. This book is sort of like a summer camp book. Like girls go to summer camp and sort of their life, but at least that's what I thought it was going to be when I decided to read it. And it ended up being more of like their family drama on the outside, with like camp being sort of this thing that maybe weaved everyone together, but it was so weird. It was so bad. It was poorly written. The ending of it is atrocious, and I don't even understand the point of it. I think it was maybe like somebody's senior project in college or something, and then somehow it got published. Sorry, Mandy, maybe you've become much better writer these days, but not a fan. Definitely the worst book I read, like start to finish this year. I don't get it. I don't see why it was a thing. I don't think it actually gets very good reviews, at least not on Goodreads. It's not super popular, but nope.
Do not recommend. Don't waste your time. There are much better summer camp settings of books, and this one's not it. Sorry. This one I'm gonna get some hate for, but that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I get why people love it. The writing is fast-paced. The story is really interesting, but I just didn't love it. I don't like that writing style. That's really just a personal preference. I've talked about this before in another wrap-up, and that's because it's so choppy. I don't know how to explain it because I just feel like it's something I hear in my head versus maybe what's actually written on the page. But this book has a lot of very short sentences, like 3-word sentences, and they're all meant to sort of pack an emotional punch, but it happens over and over and over and over and over again, and it just got on my last nerve. I don't need the writing style to make me emotionally connect with characters. And this book has a lot of emotional, depth. Like, I totally connected with these characters. Even Evelyn, who, it's not a spoiler to say that she's not the best of people, but I just, that just got on my last nerve. I said before, it reminds me of the Gilmore Girls, which I'm not a fan of. And again, that's very much beloved, so I know I'm in the minority for disliking this book. And it's not even disliking it. I'm just slightly disappointed that I didn't like it more. There's one character in it that I did love, and I don't think this is a book someone should not read. Definitely, by all means, go and read it because most people love it. I just was not a huge fan, so that was just a bummer. And the last book that I will say was just disappointing was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This book is boring. This is going to be, obviously, this is the repetition of why I don't like a book. If I'm bored, it's going to be on a list like this. I just don't read books that feel like work, and a lot of these, save the Evelyn Hugo book. That one I still read, and it read quickly, so that it wasn't boring was not its problem. This one is just so bleh. Like, the characters are not interesting. I did say that I liked it better listening to it on audiobook, so maybe if I had listened to the whole thing on audio, I would have a different opinion of the book. Like, I feel like maybe you can just get into the feel of the characters, bad or good, with an audiobook. You just have someone who's reading the book with more inflection than I would do if I'm just reading it straight out. But nope, this one didn't work for me. I don't know. I see, I guess, why people like it. And actually, that's a giant lie. I don't see why people like it because it's still really boring. The characters are terrible. And there's not really that much about it that's like, that's good. I don't know. But I guess that's just me. I know this is some people's favorite book, but sorry, folks, didn't work for me. So that's it. Mostly IDNF books I don't like. So this list should always be pretty short in my, for me, because I'm not going to waste my time reading a book I just don't like or don't jive with. But these ones I did read to the end and just didn't love. So I guess that's it. I hope you didn't read too many disappointing books in 2018, and I'm hoping that this list is even shorter in 2019, because the truth is, who wants to read a book that they don't like? Unless you're just that kind of person. But I like to read the books that I do like, so I guess I'll see you in my next video. Bye!